If you've ever felt overwhelmed by everything on your plate as a mum and a homemaker, you are in the right place today. There's so much to juggle. Managing the house, caring for your loved ones, balancing your faith, and all while trying to stretch every pound or dollar to make ends meet. If you are struggling to find peace amidst this chaos, I want you to know you are not alone. I have been where you are, trying to get through the day, doing everything for everyone else and feeling like I've almost lost myself in the process. It's easy to feel isolated, like the world outside is running on a different track while you're here trying to keep your home intact. You might feel like you're not doing enough or that you're failing, but I promise you, if you've clicked on this video, you are already ahead of so many others. You see, homemaking, especially on a low income, can be such a heavy burden, but it doesn't have to be. It's not about having the most money or the best things. It's about what we do with what we've been given. And it's about what we hold on to when everything feels uncertain. If you are wondering how to balance all of this, how to thrive as a homemaker with limited resources, and how to keep your heart full without breaking the bank, keep watching. Because today I'm going to share something that changed the way I approach homemaking on a low income. I'm sure you've experienced this too, days when you're working yourself to the bone, making meals, doing laundry, cleaning the house, and yet it all feels so just never ending. At the end of the day, when you sit down, there's still a mountain of things left to do. This is me right now. It's exhausting, isn't it? And that feeling of overwhelm only multiplies when you realize that your budget is tight and things feel out of control. That was me a few years ago. I remember sitting in my kitchen in our flat in London late at night, staring at our bank account, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, how to stretch our budget. The house needed cleaning, and the grocery list seemed endless, and I felt like I was drowning. I didn't know how to keep up. The problem wasn't just the money or the never-ending tasks. It was that I was putting my energy into things that weren't moving me closer to having and finding this peace. Instead of worrying about the mountain of tasks or the things I needed to do, I needed to focus on what really mattered and stop overcomplicating things. What if I told you that on a tight budget, you don't have to sacrifice your peace or your joy or your faith, that you can still create a nurturing environment for your family even when the money feels tight? What if I told you that it's possible to turn homemaking into a space of growth and gratitude instead of stress and exhaustion? It wasn't until I began simplifying things that I started to see the beauty in homemaking again. The first step was embracing frugality, not just in spending, but in every area of our lives. I didn't need to buy the newest items or have the latest gadgets. Most of what we need is already within our reach, often in the form of second-hand goods. Facebook Marketplace, eBay, charity shops, I am all for it. You might feel hesitant about second-hand shopping. And I kind of did at first. It almost felt like I didn't really want other people's junk. But then, when I started looking at gently used clothes and furniture and appliances, I realised how much I was saving. And those items, they often hold more stories, more character, and often last just as long as the new ones, at a fraction of the price. Cooking from scratch was another game changer. When I looked at the price of processed foods and everything that comes in a packet and compared them to the cost of cooking a meal from scratch, the difference was shocking. We saved so much money. Baking bread, making our own soups, they're so cheap, casseroles and sauces became something we could do together as a family and something I really started to enjoy. Not only was it cost effective, but it brought us closer as a family. Instead of buying prepackaged meals, I started making bigger batches and freezing them, especially with a newborn, and doing that in the postpartum phase of our life right now. As you can hear in the background, I have my little baby with me. But doing these things, it's an easy way to have meals on hand without spending extra money. And the joy of a handmade meal, there's something almost quite fulfilling about it. But it wasn't just about money, it was about priorities. And I learned that things like even taking care of myself wasn't selfish. I'd spent so much time focusing on everything and everyone else, trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mum, and the perfect homemaker. But that kind of pressure is impossible to keep up with. And as a Christian, I came to understand that God didn't call me to do everything. He called me to be faithful with what I had and to trust that He would provide. And it was through these prayers and reflections that I realized that I needed to find some balance, even if it meant taking a few minutes each day to pray or journal. It wasn't about doing it all. It was about doing what I could with what I had and doing it with love. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in this journey is about being present. How many times do we worry about the future, about the bills, or about what we don't have, and forget to enjoy the moment? I know I'm definitely guilty of this, but in focusing on being present, I found that I could truly enjoy my family, my home, and even the tasks that felt mundane. It's not about how many Pinterest perfect meals you make or how spotless your house is. It's about creating an environment where love and faithfulness thrives. And I do think that starts with gratitude. Gratitude for what you have and for the moments that seem small but really are everything. God has given you what you need for this season of your life. Can you trust that? Do you really believe that? He's given you everything you need for this season of your life. And in that you can find peace. It's not easy, but it is possible. Living on a low income doesn't have to be a burden. It can be a season of growth, both spiritually and practically. Yes, it takes planning and a mindset shift, but it's also about leaning into His grace. Grace for yourself when things don't go as planned, and grace for your family when you're stretched thin, and grace for the process of homemaking, which doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. So what's the key to managing everything as a low-income homemaker? It's not about having everything together. It's about accepting that there will be messy days and trusting that God will meet you where you are at. And it's about embracing simplicity, gratitude, and remembering that this season is a part of your beautiful story.